XX? Or do you have XY? There's some folk, the Russians had a bunch of them that they banned from competition because they were XY. They had a male chromosome in there that gave them a lot of masculine traits, but they still had female traditions. Oh, what did they got to do? Make these young athletes submit to a genitalia inspection? Yes, they do it in the Olympics, and they take DNA tests. So don't you have to, as a high school athlete? I played football in high school. It's been 60 years ago. I recall we had to go through a physical and the doctor made you cough to see if you had a hernia. Isn't that stripping down to the bare essentials enough to reveal what you are? Don't these children have to strip down to get the doctor's inspection and okay to compete in the sport? So how is it that you are not coming up with this as a male? What does it look like? Somebody died of a heart attack and the medical examiner is getting ready to conduct an autopsy. He can't revive the person and say, do you consider yourself male or female? Mostly male and part female, or mostly female, a little bitty bit of teeny weeny bit of being a male. You can't wake that sucker up. What does his body look like?
So what does the coroner do now?
10 years ago, gender and sex were identical. There was no word homophobia. Straight people did not have an unreasonable fear and terror of homosexuals. But homosexuals had an unreasoning fear and terror, heterophobia, that is the actual old word. And that phobia was about getting lynched, mutilated, hung, tortured, thrown in a jail cell, put in a padded cell, fired, or held up to general ostracism. They've got the phobia. So one of the propaganda techniques is flip the script. Accuse the other side of what you are.
What you're doing. Yeah, exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm live with Judge Joe Brown. Y'all, please do me a favor, hit that like button. We got 2.5 million people in the house. Make sure you hit that like button because they are not putting out the notifications, but we still got a large audience here, and I thank you guys so much. Judge, I was talking to some parents, and they were saying, well, what do we do? Because this school didn't even ask the parents. And what I said was the reason why the state is having such an easy time doing this to your children is because parents don't want to be parents anymore. So they will allow these teachers to do whatever to their kids until it's too late. What do you say?
File an action and claim child abuse. This is child exploitation. You're talking about things that you cannot permit a child legally to view. Turn the fools out that are on the school board that you nominally elected. File for damages, for psychological damages to your child, for intentional infliction of emotional distress on your child, and get together and make life very, 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 very miserable.
Would the idea of them showing the kids, because I thought it was funny, a guy called in the show last night, he said he's against a father showering, or he said it's disgusting for a son to go to the restroom with their father and see the father's genitalia. And I said, but he said he was okay with the schools teaching their children about masturbation. I said, hold on. I said, most boys view their fathers and grandfathers as that's what I'm going to be one day. So they're actually proud and want to emulate them, which is one of the best ways to show them how to do it. But he said, no, but this stranger at school can teach your child how to masturbate.
Wait. That person is sick. See, he didn't have a father who went, back in the pool when I was in elementary school. You go to the public pool, some of the dads would get together and take the kids. So the dad got to get naked to get into a shower and take the shower or take his swim trunks off. What, are you supposed to be corrupted? But I tell you what, if somebody got charged with child exploitation or, inappropriate behavior to a minor, and they took the child into a place that was featuring masturbation, I would lock them up as long as I was allowed under the law.
How's that not child porn?
See, that kind of conduct where you knowingly take a child into a restricted area that is off limits to anybody who is not 21 years of age or over, which it is in that state. that's doing this, and you do it in school, that's the same criminal activity. It's child abuse. They should be prosecuted. And some parents ought to go down collectively and file criminal charges.
Have they? I said, we need to have a saying where it comes to parents. If you're willing to lay down and get them, you need to be willing to stand up and defend them. And I think that's what's been taken from these so-called adults. They're having the children, but the children are a means to an end. It's either
they've been teaching these adults to be cowards. Oh, the teachers and the police and the parents, we need to protect the children from bullying. You can't be a man if you don't know how to deal with a bully. That's part of it. Screw up your nerve, bust him in his mouth. Even if you get whipped, you got to be able to stand up and do that. But you can't do it now. So they're supposed to be protected from everything. But what happens instead of protecting them, because they don't have the balls to stand up and say, hell no, that's some sick, perverted mess. They should, they must have their reasons. Yeah, because they want to try and convert your child into being a pervert just like they are. Mm-hmm. Anybody that would teach a kindergarten child how to masturbate in a public facility, in a public institution, or even a private one, is a pervert.
What do we do now after we teach them to masturbate?
Especially when there's no parental permission.
Right, they don't even ask. You remember when I was a kid, you at least had to get your parents to sign a note before you could even go in there, and that was 8th grade. But now they're saying 5th grade, and the teacher can do it without telling you a thing, and the parents acquiesce because most of them don't know what's going on in the schools anyway.
But we're talking about 1st grade.
Huh? That's what I said. We just went from 8th to 1st. So in 8th we had to ask. First, you don't. About 1st grade, they're veterans from this because they got taught in kindergarten. Let me tell you, some school districts are doing. They're giving these kids pamphlets in school that tells them how to go to a Walgreens or a CVS pharmacy and buy these temporary credit cards where you can put money on. Why? So they can go online, and they give them the websites for adult toys. So what toys to order using these credit cards that your mama and dad can't trace, and you can get butt plugs sent to you, literally, so you can open yourself up and accommodate homosexual activity without pain. And if you can't do that, they tell you how to get the right size cucumber in the produce department. Nobody's gonna stop a kid from buying a couple of cucumbers. Mama wants it for her salad. They even tell you to say that. And they tell you how to get hair conditioning as a lubricant. And they're giving these kids instructions how to insert this stuff and practice with it so their first experience will not be painful.
Oh my God.
That's how far it's gone.
For as sick as
this, we let it happen.
That's what I was about to say. We let it happen. We let them usher it in.
Some racist dog that's in the White House right now, senile, and somebody that slept her way to the top, a heartbeat away, and they're saying we endorse this. There is no way that any decent man or a woman ought to push that, let alone being president and vice president of the United States of America.
Did you see the video with Joe Biden just, I think it was a couple weeks ago, where for some odd reason he's addressing the United States and he sees some little girl over to the side.
Oh, wasn't that creepy?
How you gonna say she look over there with her legs crossed with the barrettes in her head?
Lolita.
Then said she looked like she 19.
She looked so grown with her legs crossed.
Your president said this.
But, I mean, that's what's in his soul coming out right
He
there.
can't help himself.
And then you got the vice president on camera at a dignified event. She's got to be moving around dancing with that creepy laugh because ha 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 ha. She spoke to the Naval Academy for graduation, and I found it interesting because the commentary was she told some jokes that resulted in hilarious laughter from just one person, her. The rest of the young would-be soon-to-be officers were looking on in bewilderment. Ah! what is it? The AKAs say Chucks and pearls because of the shoes and the pearls. Well, I got license to talk about them. My dear, sweet, now deceased mama, Ivy behind the wall, got made AKA in 1934, so I can talk. That's some sickness. I had one of them brag to me, we got the first black Greek vice president of the United States. I said, no, you didn't. Yes, we did. I said, well, you ever heard of Lyndon Baines Johnson? That tall, bald-headed, blue-eyed white boy, Hubert Humphrey, who was his vice president, who was the Democratic Party candidate for president of the United States.